If you've been in school for a while, you might think of mathematics as calculation or computing, as in 1 plus 3 equals 4, plus 5 equals 9, plus 7 equals 16. But I'm bored already. You get the picture. If you add 9, you get 25, add 11, you get 36, and so on and so forth forever. I'm not sure why anyone would spend their time adding numbers together this way, especially when you can get a computer to do it about 1,000,000 times faster. If you're working as a computer today, you'll be replaced by a computer tomorrow, because computers never make mistakes and don't talk back. Mathematics is really about discovering patterns, about finding meaning in apparent chaos, about finding out why. So let's do some math. Do you notice anything odd about this pattern? 1 plus 3 equals 4, and so does 2 times 2. 1 plus 3 plus 5 equals 9, and so does 3 times 3. The pattern seems to continue. It's not obvious to me why adding together odd numbers should have the same result as multiplying consecutive numbers by themselves. What could odd numbers possibly have to do with perfect squares? Maybe it's just a coincidence. Where's my computer? A computer could confirm in a matter of seconds that the first 1,000,000 digits follow this pattern, but a computer could never tell you whether this pattern will continue forever, and it certainly can't tell you why. That's where you come in. Calculating is cheap and easy, but ultimately unsatisfying. But the conscious understanding of abstract mathematical truth, something that makes you uniquely and utterly human, that is priceless. Forget about calculating. Why does this pattern exist? The right answer is the answer that satisfies you. To find out why, don't just sit there. Try things out. Scramble the numbers and add them or subtract them in different ways. Use scissors and colors and pictures and anything else you can think of. The more ways you approach the problem, poke at it from all sides, the better you'll understand it. Over time, you'll develop an intuition for what's helpful and what's not. Mathematicians spend most of their time stuck, not knowing how to solve the problems they're working on, and most of the things they try don't work out. You'll spend your time as a mathematician stuck too, and most of the things you'll try won't work. You're on your own. Remember, you're a whole lot smarter than a computer. I hope creativity strikes. I'm Stuart Jekyll. Thanks for watching.
Engagement. Oftentimes there's this prevailing idea that math has to be real world to be engaging. What's the solution to a boring math problem? Make it real world, quote unquote, whatever that means. And the way to make them engaging is to kind of staple on some kind of context, and kids aren't fooled, and we shouldn't think that they will be. So I don't see real world as any kind of silver bullet, and real world problems can be ruined also for students. So the idea, I guess, is to find contexts that are meaningful and familiar and realistic to students. So the Freudenthal Institute talks about how they're after realistic mathematics, not real world math. So a fairy tale or a story or some imaginative scenario can be just as real to a student as anything else. And when it comes to pure mathematics or math that can't be applied, we can still find students' experiences that are just as engaging as math that they'll put into play outside the classroom tomorrow. Asking students questions that are triggering for them and that are open and give them some agency. The students were given a task, both suburban and urban students. Do you buy yourself a week-long bus pass or a day bus pass? And the prices were given for the week-long and the day-long. And the suburban students all did as they were expected to by the assessment writers, basically multiplying the day by 5 and then comparing it to the week-long pass, okay? In the urban context, students kept on getting it wrong by just horrific margins. And the reason is that the students, it wasn't that they couldn't do the math, it was that they were really considering the context. They were really considering like, okay, this is a bus pass, it's unlimited, I've got 2 parents, one works the morning shift, one the grave shift, and so they can both use the same pass and save even more money that way. Plus I can loan it out to my friend if I need to, et cetera, et cetera. And they were considering the context from their own lens that wasn't shared by the people that wrote the item. And when I do applied mathematics, I try to be aware that how I see the world, the stuff that interests me doesn't necessarily interest my students, and they're not necessarily aware of it. In our zeal for applied math, we have to be careful not to exclude some populations.